Welcome! In this video, we are going to talk about the planetary boundaries and social foundations of solar energy in large U.S. cities. CO2 emissions are the leading cause of climate change. The increase in carbon emissions has been the result of excessive fossil fuel burning as a means for producing the energy necessary to power our world. Introducing solar energy to the large cities in the United States will largely benefit climate change problems. In year 2000, Chicago, Illinois produced 34.7 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents, 91% of which were the indirect emissions associated with electricity consumption. If we consider large cities to produce similar emissions, then converting them to a solar-based energy source can prevent 91% of carbon emissions originating in large cities. As humanity continues to burn fossil fuels, the temperature of the Earth will continue to rise. All plants and animals have ranges of temperatures in which they can sustain life. As a means to survive in a warming planet, these species may begin to move towards areas that accommodate this range. However, for the plants and animals that cannot migrate elsewhere, they face extinction. Adopting a sustainable energy source such as solar energy will decrease climate change and thus help maintain biosphere integrity. Solar panels may cause people to cut down trees because they cannot work if they are in the shadow of a tree. With the removal of trees, homes will begin to get hotter because of the lack of shade. Homes will then need to turn up their air conditioning, and although the air conditioner can be powered by solar energy, the air conditioner still needs coolant, and air coolants caused the ozone to deplete in the 1980s. Ocean acidification occurs when the carbon in the atmosphere is absorbed by seawater. It cannot occur so long as there is not an unreasonable amount of carbon in the atmosphere. Currently, there is a tremendous amount of carbon in the atmosphere caused by the burning of fossil fuels. We can decrease carbon emissions by introducing solar energy in areas causing the most harm, large cities, which will help prevent ocean acidification. There are many important biogeochemical flows found on the Earth, but the flows that are most relevant to this topic are the carbon cycle, nutrient cycle, and water cycle. Humanity has affected the carbon cycle by emitting more carbon than the forests can absorb, and since we are also cutting down our forests, this is continuing to become unbalanced. The nutrient cycle is also being affected. For example, the acidification of our oceans as a result of carbon emissions may eventually cause many water animals to die, modifying the food chain in our oceans. The water cycle is being affected because it is absorbing the pollutants in the air, causing acid rain. Rainforests are extremely affected by oil companies searching for new oil reservoirs. These companies continue to destroy forests at all means necessary in order to mine and provide fossil fuels to burn for energy. In replacing fossil fuels with solar energy, the need for oil will begin to decrease, and destroying forests will no longer become necessary to power our world's energy needs. Also, because we will no longer cut down trees for oil mining, the rate in which we absorb carbon will remain the same instead of decreasing alongside deforestation. Solar energy uses dramatically less water than coal, nuclear, and natural gas electricity production methods. Solar City has found that coal withdraws 16,000 gallons of water per megawatt hour, nuclear withdraws about 15,000 gallons of water per megawatt hour, and natural gas withdraws about 6,500 gallons of water per megawatt hour. Solar thermal energy has been found to use less than 1,000 gallons of water per megawatt hour of electricity produced. This clean water can be used as drinking water instead of helping to power our cities. Human activities emit a tremendous amount of aerosol into the atmosphere. Human-made aerosols come from the burning of forests as well as the burning of coal and oil. The largest concentrations of atmospheric aerosols are in the northern hemisphere, where much of the industries are. In moving our energy production to solar energy, we will no longer need to burn coal and oil. Also, because we no longer need to burn coal and oil, we won't need to burn down forests to mine for these elements. Many human-made chemicals are introduced into the world as a means to produce energy. Whether it be an oil spill or a nuclear meltdown, our conquest for energy has introduced sometimes non-naturally occurring elements into the world. The solar system's largest energy generator is the sun, and it is capable of providing more than enough energy to power our ambitious endeavors. There is no need to emit novel entities into our ecosystem so long as we have green energy. Water consumption in traditional power plants, coal, oil, nuclear, consume a tremendous amount of water. These systems heat water and use the steam to turn turbines to generate electricity. Nuclear power plants need 2.3 liters of water per kilowatt hour. Coal requires 1.9 liters and oil requires 1.6 liters. Solar panels require 110 milliliters of water per kilowatt hour, which is mostly used for cleaning the solar panels. In large cities, the amount of water can be dramatically decreased because of how much non-renewable energy it already consumes. Depending on how solar energy is used, it can have positive and negative impacts on the production of food. Solar energy can positively affect food production if implemented in smart greenhouses, where the roofs produce solar energy while also optimizing photosynthesis. Solar panels can negatively impact food production in the same manner that ethanol production has negatively affected food production. If farmers can generate more money by installing solar panels on their land, then this will decrease food production. In large cities, there are many people that cannot afford to buy healthy foods. If we adopt the positive way of using solar energy, we can produce more food at cheaper prices. Solar energy would replace oil and coal-based power plants, both of which are responsible for a large amount of pollutants in Earth's atmosphere. These pollutants are not healthy and result in bronchitis, respiratory, and cardiovascular problems. With the adoption of solar energy, we can decrease the amount of air pollutants, leading to a decrease in pollution-based health problems, leading to a healthier population. In large cities, pollution is at its worst, so decreasing pollution by adopting a green energy source can have a large benefit on the health of its people. Solar energy can create a more educated population. Schools can save about $10,000 every year by investing in solar power on their large plots of land. They would be able to produce enough electricity for their own needs, and whatever is left over can be pumped back into the grid for others to use. With this extra money, schools can invest more in their students' education. Solar energy businesses employ more people than oil, coal, and gas combined. According to a recent report, solar employed 43% of the employees working in energy production, while fossil fuels only accounts for 22%. Also, if those working in coal industry decided to be retrained for the solar industry, they will see about a 10% salary increase. If the United States' largest power consumers, large cities, decided to switch from fossil fuel burning to solar energy consumption, they would produce more high-paying jobs. Solar energy can create peace and cause conflict depending on execution. Solar energy can create peace because the mining and distribution of oil appears to cause a lot of conflict, and migrating to a renewable source of energy may decrease these conflicts, oil spills, pipelines, etc. However, solar energy may cause new conflicts while resolving old ones, because the materials needed to produce solar panels still need to be mined. Much of these materials are currently being mined in China, and the factories responsible for the mining are producing a large amount of pollution. This pollution has been the cause for many protests by those who live nearby the factory, and a heightened demand for solar panels could only make this conflict worse. Over the recent years, public opinion has begun to shift towards more renewable energies. Evidence for this can be found when the Trump administration made its debut at a United Nations conference on climate change in November of 2017. They said that fossil fuels will continue to be used without question, and this statement was responded with 10 minutes of boos from the people of the United States. Eventually, the government will have to start listening to the political voice of their constituents. Energy is not cheap, and not everyone is able to afford it. Gas cars and air conditioning during the summer is a luxury not everyone can afford. The cost-effectiveness of installing solar panels depends on where one lives. However, in large U.S. cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Austin, Chicago, New York, and Boston, savings are significant. For example, over the course of 20 years, homeowners in Los Angeles can save an incredible $90,000, while those in Chicago can save about $40,000. This money can be used to help balance social equity, allowing everyone equal access to electricity. Achieving gender equality and empowering women is done most effectively when everyone has access to electricity. Allowing everyone access to electricity is not easy, especially in remote villages who cannot tap into an electric line. The only way for them to get electricity and the internet is through solar energy. Giving people access to the internet that wouldn't otherwise have it opens the doors for everyone to become more educated and thus more equal. Roof-installed solar panels can be used to generate more than enough power for the home. This means that the homeowner will be able to contribute their surplus to the grid and effectively get paid by the people that use it. In large cities where the number of homes is great, the amount of energy produced would greatly decrease the city's overall ecological footprint. Most remote villages do not have access to electricity. This is putting them at a tremendous disadvantage because they are not connected to the network of information accessible through the internet. By using solar panels in areas that don't have electricity, these people will have access to information that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. Solar power is a form of renewable energy. The sun is the solar system's greatest generator of energy, and over the past few decades, the efficiency of solar panels has reached a point where converting our energy sources to solar is beginning to make sense. Solar energy can make the largest impact in large U.S. cities because it is in these cities that the most energy is consumed.